Cadillac is a brand that practically invented full-size luxury sedans. Back in the 60s, 70s, maybe even the 80s, they were the name brand that everybody aspired to. A lot happened since that time, and recently they moved their headquarters to New York. They changed their naming convention. This is an all-new model called the CT6. Expect to see more of this kind of alphanumeric naming convention, and I can tell you, a lot is riding on this sedan. I think Cadillac has positioned itself quite nicely. So when you look at the segment, and I'm going to include a new vehicle that's not even out yet, the Genesis G90. So the G90 plays right into the CT6 segment. Its starting price is the most competitive with the Cadillac. Starting price on this is $55,000, but you're getting a 2-liter turbo with that $55,000 price range. Cadillac has 3 engine options. I think that's a bit much. You have the 2-liter turbo, the 3.6 V6 we're driving, and then there's a 3-liter twin turbo that produces over 400 horsepower. That's the fun engine to get. Pricing wise, I mentioned $55,000 for a base rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder. However, if you go for the twin turbo Platinum, you're looking at $88,000, and that will be an all-wheel drive version, fully loaded. So a big range, but nevertheless, that's where some of these competitors just start. You have Apple CarPlay, which 2 of the direct competitors, BMW and the Audi A8, have, whereas the other 2 competitors, S-Class and Lexus LS, do not have. Overall, it's a good engine, not my favorite. The 3-liter twin turbo is obviously a much better engine to get, just a little more lively, feels a little lighter, but this is what they gave us, and no complaints. It's a good engine, plenty of power. You have an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is relatively new to Cadillac. They have a traditional shifter, whereas in the XT5 they went with an electronic shifter, which takes up a little less space. That's the first ever application of an electronic shifter in a Cadillac. As you can see, the interior cabin of the CT6 is worthy of a world-class flagship sedan. They've done a great job with this vehicle. As you can see, Apple CarPlay front and center on this rather large infotainment screen. You have a high-definition TFT screen, but this is standard for the segment. Same thing with BMW, the same thing with the S-Class. S-Class has a pair of 12.3-inch screens. This one's 12.3, this one's a little bit smaller, but nevertheless, I think it's very clean, and that's certainly something you couldn't say about past Cadillac vehicles. Q is now much better. It's been refined. It works a lot faster. I like the steering wheel. It feels a little compact, which is a good thing. Seats are comfortable, but I think by European standards, still a little behind the times. One of the things about these seats is you have the haptic feedback. So rather than some cars, when you are departing a lane without a signal, or someone's walking behind you as you're backing up, they'll set an alarm. The Cadillac has the haptic feedback in the seats, which I like. I mentioned the rear vision camera. So right now I have a rear view mirror, very standard, but flip a switch and the cameras that you're using for the backup now are displaying a very high definition image. I like it. It takes some getting used to. Where this would come in handy is if someone were behind me, let's say I had like 2 or 3 tall people in the back kind of blocking the view, I could now bypass this because the camera is obviously behind them. Where it doesn't come in handy is when it's raining or even at night, or if the camera is dirty for whatever reason. So it's not perfect technology, but it's really interesting technology. I think if I was looking for a luxurious full-size sedan, this would definitely be at the top of my list, just because price-wise it's so competitive at $55,000. Probably wouldn't buy that one, but for about $10,000 more, you can get a nicely equipped one. You probably don't need all the bells and whistles, but you'll get a lot of them in this vehicle, and plenty of power as well. Our fuel economy has been okay, not great. We've been pushing it a little bit hard, but we wanted to see what this CT6 could do. I had a discussion with a fellow journalist who said that this car is better than a 7 Series and an S-Class. Well, I don't really think that's the discussion point here, because those vehicles have a lot of history, a lot of cachet with their buyers. People are buying into the brand. People are trying to buy into the Cadillac brand, but right now it's a brand that's most well known for the Escalade. This is a crossover and SUV world, so that's going to help them. I think they need a third crossover to kind of solidify that whole segment, but they've put a lot of emphasis in sedans. You have the ATS, the CTS, the XTS, and now this CT6. We expect the naming convention to change for those other vehicles as well, but it seems like they put a lot of stock in sedans and coupes at a time when people aren't buying sedans. But it is important to have a rear-wheel drive flagship sedan, and that's what we have here. Mission accomplished. I like it. Not too many complaints. Seats could be a little bit better, a little sportier. The HVAC system is very clean, but I don't know what the issue is. I received this car and the default was 70. I changed them both to low, but every time I turn it on, it's been pretty hot here in Southern California, it still goes back to low, but 70 on the passenger side. So just a little note there. Tremendous amount of cargo space. I was blown away about how much space is back there. But as far as driving, it handles nice. It's very quiet, very refined. They did a nice job with it. You gotta give credit where credit is due. I've always said for a long time, if you want to be a true luxury car player, you need a proper full-size luxury sedan. Cadillac used to own that segment. They practically defined it. They got away from it, and now they're back. Back when Cadillac dominated this segment, they were never the value leader, but today they are. Starting price on the CT6 is $55,000. Next closest competitor is about $73,000 for a Lexus LS 460 short wheelbase. So you can see they have a real price advantage, almost $20,000. Car looks good, it's very light, it's very lively, and I think they have a real winner on their hands. Unfortunately, it's at a time when sedans aren't doing so well, crossovers are. I'm Ron Doran, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Driver's Seat.